Monday. Hope you guys had a great Father's Day. And hey, dads, way to get laid. You know what I'm saying? Way to get laid, guys. Way to get laid. You did it. You did it. Proud of you. Proud of mine too. Let's talk about chicken eye structure. You know, your eyes. What are you doing with the eyes on the side of your head? What are you doing, chickens, with the eyes on the side of your head? You get your wide panoramic vision, 300-degree vision. Gives you sort of a diagram there of what it's like to have that. But then limited binocular vision. Some of you may know that we have, there's starting light, and we have discussed how horses have a blind spot that looks like the shape of a unicorn horn. We should honestly stop the show right there. But I mean, that's freaking huge. That if you were to draw the map of what a unicorn can't see, it ends up making a horn on their head, a horn of fantasy, where the eyes are forced to paint what's there based on the previous picture of what they painted that was already there. So this is a double amygdala zone where the unicorn is, which means that unicorns are more resonant to fear. This is my theory, that they're more resonant to all feelings. So the unicorn horn is a magical, it's not really an amplifier. It's actually a full bridge rectifier. Sorry, but it's true. It's a full bridge rectifier because it pulls in currents from all sorts of places in all sorts of different ways and all sorts of different bridges, and it rectifies these things. It brings them together into this coharmonious, yeah, that's a word, fucking deal with it, coharmonious ability to output power in a steady state. And the steady state gives you a nice unicornian existence. Your reality is unicornian. But we're getting off track here. I really just want to talk about chickens today. Not just chickens, but we're going to focus on chickens. You can take this however you want. Special shout out to Gonzo, who did not make it in the slides today. I just want to say, Gonzo, one of my favorite Muppets. Dude has a fetish for chickens, and I'm proud of Jim Henson that was just like, you know what? Fuck it. The world needs to understand that this dude has a chicken fetish. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that. Lols poulet, right? Instead of James L'Enfantes, you guys know, right? Pizzagate dude. There's Charles Los Poulets. Yes, he loves the chickens. Gonzoas les Poulets. Loves the chickens. Yes, he does. Narwhals, good example, Trevor. This is worthy of thinking about. Narwhals are the unicorns of the sea, and they have their horns, which kind of just, I think, sort of proves my other point. Why? Because you cannot have salt in a fantasy zone, which is why the narwhal grows its horn there. It's calcium carbonate, babe. Look it up. Look it up. James, what does that mean? I don't know. This is all coming together later, but we have swoop. I need to make some sounds. Okay, so you got eyes on the side of your head. You got wide panoramic vision. This is different from you and me, you hunter, you. Yeah, some of you are gatherers, but you hunt. You have a less panoramic view, and this changes your psyche. It changes your consciousness. You know that. You and I have almost primarily binocular vision all the way, but chickens are limited to about 26 degrees. That's half of 52, half a pyramid. And that this 26-degree limit is their only ability where they see depth. Now, I would like to remind you all that depth could be an illusion. There's a thing called Z-depth in graphic space. This is when you're dealing with a 2.5 dimensional reality. Oh, God, James. Okay, so there's 3D. This is actually pretty easy. There's 3D, but then there's sort of like fake 3D, which is 2.5D. That's all. You played Zaxxon, right? We hear it for Zaxxon. Anyone in the audience? I know there's only one of you, but oh God, that's not right. Okay, so now I gotta wait. I just gotta wait it out. Sorry about that. I'll work on my clap. Seems like the clap is, man, I'd like to figure out why I did that. But we'll take the swoops and go with it. This Zaxxon 2.5D layout, it's sort of fake depth. And it could be that your depth vision, your depth perception is just fake depth. It could be that you're sort of a microfish sort of cursor that moves through the chemical place. This solution is all Sheol. It's just this liquid that has a lot of hallucinogenic properties. That's sort of the medium you could say we're in, the voxel we're in, the loxel, right? This is not a Jewish thing. I just mean voxel, but like liquid voxel, okay? I'm not talking about locks right now, all right? There's some irony there, though. Why you gotta lock it up, huh? Why you gotta lock it up? Can I do a show on narwhals? Can I do a show on narwhals? Can I do a show on narwhals? Can I? No, that'd be a great idea. I fucking love that idea. That's one of the higher traded black market instruments, believe it or not. When I researched the book Black Eye Cup, there was this dude named Amari who trades narwhal horns. Just going to bring it up. But yeah, we could. I think we should talk about why certain things are considered so valuable on the open market. Also, when you break down the amount of value, this is going to kind of sound weird, but we'll just go with it. Thank you, Trevor, for making it weird for all of us. But if you were to build a chart of the most valuable pieces that are traded on in any kind of trafficking, whether it be rhino horn or narwhal horn or albino human, I think that there's just something to be digested. This may be the wrong word. Snorted. No, that's definitely the wrong word. Applied. No, can't use that. To be considered why different parts of these animals are more valuable than others, and looking at the different values of each part, I think gives us a really sick, psychotic, but yet accurate insight into our own version of self-worth. Keep in mind that we've developed money as a currency, and this currency is showing us an electrical field of worth that we've never been able to tangibly see before. And I am always telling you that we're on the cusp of learning new colors, of seeing new things. I swear this is what this episode is about. But when I say color, it's the closest word I can come to it. Your emotions, I believe, are the colors of the future. See, it's got like an echo. I think what it is this. I'm going to try this again. No, now I don't even hear it. Let me try this again. If we do this, then we... Thank you for being patient with me. I'll play with that. But the colors of the future are the emotions of today. This is the limbic fireworks. This is related to the show. Sorry for playing with the buttons. But this is the limbic fireworks that we're discussing, that as they start to amplify over and over again in your brain, as your brain is registering, seeing these colors more and more, it starts to want to render them in the field of view, and it renders them in the field of view by rendering them in the field of view. The signals go through your afferent optical nerve down into Plato's cave, which we call the retina wall around here on James Drew, and you paint the vision on top of the vision, that the brightness that you see in the world is just one layer. It's the latent space. Oh my God, it's the latent space. Holy shit. The brightness contrast that most of your eye picks up is actually just the fuzzy latent space you see when you hit render, when you first ask something to be clarified from an AI, when it makes an engine, for example. But this latent space that's there is painted over by a hallucinatory layer coming from your amygdala, coming from your appetite, coming from your thalamus, coming from all the dopamine that your retina was able to gather or earn through the thalamus by being good, by giving it the right thoughts. So you've got these three cones that are there harvesting limbic feelings for the sole purpose of giving you a HUD, a screen that you can paint what you see in the world on the world itself, and that this screen changes. If you're a chicken, you have a 300-degree screen. You are an IMAX theater. And that IMAX theater is so immersive that immersion itself becomes the reality. And once that chicken has sex, happy Father's Day, to another chicken, that chicken is born into the holographic false, quote, quotes, using false here really loosely, the false reality of what the last chicken said, this is what the world looks like. Why? Because you epigenetically memorized my clone sheet. You're my child. I have a clone sheet of engrams that are going to come pre-installed. Sorry, there's nothing you could do about it. This is all my credit, my good credit and my bad credit, my good karma, my bad karma, the how fast I run away, how slow I don't, what I choose to swallow, what I choose not to, what shiny things interest me. This is just a record of the clone being imprinted onto you from the last version of your clone. Guys, it's we've been cloning. Every time you think you've been boning, you've been cloning. Am I right? Every time you think you've been boning, you've been cloning. That's. And you're boning, you're just cloning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to James Drew. Yep. So, clone bone, you guys understand, that's an important part of the thesis here. This engram is traveled, or epigenetic gram. Let's go epigram. There we go. Your epigrams are transferred through the clone wars of your father that, freaking hits the booty of your mom. And you come out, and here you are. You've got these preconceived notions, and they do you well. It's a good job. This is what we call progress, okay? So the stereoscopic vision of the chicken is wider than humans. Why? Why is that? Why does the chicken have a wider IMAX field of view? Shouldn't all life have the most wide panoramic field of view? Wouldn't this be the optimal way of living? And the answer is no, not necessarily. It's going to depend on, in my mind, it's going to depend more, are you hunter or are you gatherer? Are you focused on certain tasks that require you to live a peripheral kind of life? Okay, looking at you chickens, looking at you tetrachromatics, looking at you, honestly, 95% of the female population. That this idea of you having to be a little bit more prey, a little bit more gatherer, a little bit more holy fuck, what's going to happen next, that the very training of that sort of trauma, that trauma programming that you received gave you a 415 nanometer ultraviolet cone that's inside your retinal wall right now. That you, because of the terror that you grew up with, because you did so well living in the terror, that you learned to grow into your periphery, and create a conscious, a psychotic rendering of the self living in fear that epigenetically gets just passed down and just called normalcy. And that your perfection of this normalcy has given you a light wavelength that is greater than others could possibly imagine. Excuse me. That on the left, you see the typical three-layered detectors of man. And on the right, you see this tetrachromatic version of chicken, of fish, of female. We're sort of bringing them all together here, guys, okay? This is Abraxas Sagittarius Feminacus, okay? If you're looking for some validity to explain why the fuck you're listening to this guy, this is Abraxas Sagittarius Pisceuscus Feminidicae, okay? And that this kind of magic, this kind of peripheral focusing gave you the reflective pool psychology that allowed you to live. And then you gave that gift to your clone children, even when they were male. You're like, they get it too. Or like, they get it too, but I don't want you to use it. And men are like, fuck that, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to be afraid. I have a certain amount of testosterone that's running through my system that will literally prevent me from getting all lost in the peripheral conceptual reality. I want my psychosis to be not that the world is full of psychopaths, but that I am the psychopath. This is a macular vision. Obeliscus, opticanus, Irdwa, Ig, la tenpe, ope, etge, hute, oka, ja. Ola. There. This sort of advancement came about because of the beauty of nature's machine. Nature said, hey man, if you live in terror, you're going to get free gifts. It's really what happened. If you grow up in terror, you're going to get free gifts. One of those is you're going to win a free UV camera. Yes, you, ladies and gentlemen, you too will win this famous UV camera if you live in enough terror. All you got to do is run. Just run, but keep looking. Keep looking, keep running, keep running, keep looking. Running up that hill. Running up that hill. And you, on the left, you see the man seeing through the trichromatic reality. And then in the middle, you see just a simple UV camera showing you the exact same image. And then on the right, there's sort of a hallucination or a rendering or a possibility of what you might see with tetrachromatic vision. But guys, it's so much deeper than this. You're actually not just getting a signal that's just purely color, because there's a big difference that takes this to the next level. Excuse me. And that next level is frequency, hertz. With this sphere becomes a heightened sense of watching, and with that comes a higher frame rate. Yes, so the chicken has a higher frame rate. It's constantly frickin' burning. It's constantly. If you and I wanted to hibernate, I think if we could slow that down, if we could agree to be so comfortable that not only do we enter into, say, 38 beats, heartbeats a minute, it's hard to get there, but that even your rapid eye perception, the amount that your brain insists on looking through the periscope of your vision, could somehow slow down. I'm suggesting to you that this talent is hidden and unlocked in us, except through transcendental meditation, to be honest. Except through trauma, except through the constant learning that I must see faster to survive, is the exact same frequency as, listen to me, I must see slower to survive. That there is a turtle power state, a hibernatorial, I love these new words today, this hibernational vision, this idea that I do not need to look at the shadows on the wall because I want the latency, I want the pretending in between to have a larger gap. Now, I'm not saying this is helpful, but if you were to change the K sampler inside of your Stable Diffusion software, if you were to dial that from 0.018 up to 0.96, you're going to get a very different image pulled from latency. You're going to pool it longer in your imagination before you insist that you come up with an answer. So much of us do not understand that our personalities run at a certain kind of hertz. Oh, it hurts. Yes, a certain kind of sine wave, a frequency where you decide. Here's how important here it is. It's no different than when you drive a car and you're like, I need to look up, but you're fucking distracted. You look at the radio, you're changing the thing, God forbid you're on your cell phone. Fuck you, don't do that. But anyway, if you're doing that you're constantly have this motion, this idea, the same way a deer does, the same way a prairie dog was, the same way a groundhog does, that every 3.6 seconds I need to look up. And that inside of your vision, inside of your consciousness, this is a good show, that inside of this consciousness, you have a shutter speed itself, and that shutter speed changes from species to species, and interspecies, it changes too from gender to gender, that your testosterone, your estrogen, probably have a lot of control over this. And that When you buy a jet ski or when you rent a jet ski, you do not know what at least 5 of those buttons do. You don't even touch them. The dude never even told you what they were for. There's some kind of cork thing. There's some sort of like dial. There's some sort of like flipper that you don't fucking know. All you know is if you get on the jet ski and you fall off, the jet ski is going to turn to the right. And it's just going to stay turned to the right. It's going to stay on, but it's going to stay turned to the right. And if you're in the water, all you got to do is wait. Really, it's kind of brilliant. All you got to do is wait. That if you wait long enough, the jet ski, if everything works right, if the body was built right, that the jet ski will just turn on its own and return back to the very place from whence you came. This is kind of brilliant. Now you might be like, well, but why do you always want to go to the right? It's like, because you just have to, you need some kind of default state. You need some kind of default mode. Remember we discussed the default mode? This default mode is psychological. It's a trinity inside of a quadrinity. You know what I mean, right? A quadrivium. Looking at you. But this 3 inside of 4 creates this holographic realm where every single piece is this 3-dimensional chess of where your lens is, of how often you look up, of how important it is, of how raccoon eyes or how raccoon nose you get about things. Where is this focus? Where is this importance, say, that we seek? And so fear is teaching you how to see the same way relaxation, the same way transcendence is teaching you how not to see. This is a gas and a brake, isn't it? That fear is giving you the very gas pedal. You'd think it's the opposite, but it's not. That fear is the thing that's insisting that you see faster, and that transcendence is the insistence that maybe you don't need to see as fast as you do. And humans themselves has relaxed the moment we atrophied our noses, honestly. The moment we created society, the same thing happened with chickens. When chickens developed the ability to roost in pairs, in groups, they decided instantly that they could actually relax a little bit and reinterpret the world from a different vantage point, from a lower frequency. And they're still pretty intense. These dudes have, think about the loss. You were probably a pretty fucking badass Allosaurus, right? And you're wandering around, and now you've been shrank down to the size of a chihuahua, and you got, your feelings are hurt. All that oxygen left the atmosphere. Now you've got these giant mammals. The thing that you used to make fun of is now bigger than you, and they make you poop food for them. And you're a chicken. All you can do is sort of be like a rooster, maybe take out a cat or a child every now and then. That's about the most you're going to be able to do, and you're still going to get it. They're going to cut your head off anyway. So we're actually building the next dinosaurs. We are training the next mini chihuahua dinosaurs right now, simply by all of our mass farming. We're making these guys into these future soars. Future soars. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. You know, bring a stick. Bring a stick. Chickens have eyes on the side of their heads, right? Providing, I know you know that, providing a wide field of vision. But did you know that each eye is actually seeing something different? That each eye has a different task. You and I have learned from the chickens, but you and I combine these different tasks into each eye. It's kind of brilliant that just as you have a macular vision, macular, if you're not familiar, is when you stare directly at something, all the light is captured in your fovea. So all of your colored cones, all the coloring that you sense from the world is only happening in a very specific place. It's sort of like a magnifying glass, but a macular-fying glass. And so if you think about it like an obelisk is like a cursor that points. So the macular is an obelisk, and wherever you point your obelisk, you see clarity. And when you look at a point that you're focusing on, everything around it sort of becomes blurry, but effable. Not as macular, but effable, sensible. That you're tapping into the right eye of the chicken while you're using the left eye of the chicken, and that both those eyes are inside one of your eyes, and that one eye is wired to one side of your brain, And this separate personality, this completely separate, remember bicameralism, this separate mode is doing the same thing the chicken did, but it's doing it in stereo. So it's a little bit more complicated, but think about it. The chicken, the monocular vision of the chicken gives you a red eye and a blue eye. One eye is looking for fear. One eye is the peripheral. One eye is sensing what could happen in the background. So it's trying to look at all things. And by looking at all things, it gains width, it gains aperture, it grows in its ability for the lens to absorb things. And in the other eye, you have the opposite. I'm going to be a psychopath, says a blue eye. I want to learn to be cool, man. I want to learn to see a very specific worm or centipede or something that flickers, and I want to hit that directly. So you have one eye is nearsighted and one eye that's farsighted. And guess what? As Zephyr is telling you in chat, that's how our eyes work. That more typical than not, one of your eyes is different sighted than the other. Some of you have 54-20 vision. What does that mean? One eye is 54, one is 20. One is considered what we currently call perfect. The other is not. The other is nearsighted. And so you're seeing the remnants of this brain, this whole brain technology in our ophthalmology right now. In fact, we insist that it's something to be corrected. We insist that we have to find a way that both eyes see exactly the same thing, which means you're trying to convince the predator that there's nothing to predate, and you're trying to produce the prey that there's nothing that will ever hunt you. And we think that if we can remove all emotions from all of the world, we're going to find this steady state of reality, and it's not fucking there. It's not. It's not fucking there. You end up with a mundane default organism that has no prejudice at all, that has no identity, that is conceptually not even logged into the world because there's no signal. What makes that signal? I love this, I hate this. I love this, I hate this. I love this, I hate this. This is called being alive. I love this, I hate this. I love this, I hate this. I want to be alive. I want to go to sleep. I want to eat food. I don't want to eat. I do want to eat. I don't want to eat. I don't want to survive. I do want to survive. It's cold, and so I want to feel warm, but I don't want to feel warm because I don't want to like this place. But I don't feel good, so I want to feel good. And this is a snake. You're moving through the hunter-gatherer, right? You're gathering the complaints, and you're hunting for the solutions, and you're gathering the complaints. I'm not trying to say it has to be that way, but if you think about it in that way, I gather the things that are unhappy about me really means that you're going into your shopping cart. Let's say you're in the homeless mode because prokaryotic cells, this is what you are, that you're wandering through and you're gathering things, and that sometimes you have enough self-worth that you look at the things and you think, you know what, I deserve better. And what do? You get a tent. You get a tent, you put it by the railroad tracks. Now your shopping cart is outside, but it's next to the tent, but then inside you have all this stuff. This is called self-worth. This is called rising above. Why do you rise above? Because you've hunted and you gather, but the whole time you've been immersed and you want more. You don't want less. You want more. You want more of the world. The more comfort you have, the more warm-blooded nature, the more warm blood you have metaphorically for your softer thoughts, right? That the softer thoughts that you have can only be sustained through, just like you would carry a candle across an open field on a windy day. How would you do that? How hard would that be? So too does your brain work the same way, which is why you're so psychotic about it. Hey, it's good to be a psychopath. It's okay. It's okay. I see you. It's okay to be a psychopath. It's okay because you're trying to carry this sacred flame, this Promethean flame that honestly, hey, not to add the pressure, but it's probably like 300,000 million years old. Fuck. Probably from your oldest chicken. That a chicken a long time ago is no different than the homeless person saying, hey, I want more. I want more. I want more. I want more, he says. I want more. And so the terror informs you. You're looking at 4 different retinals: mouse, human, zebrafish, and chicken. We're just going to talk about chicken today, but I want you to notice something peculiar about the mouse. That the red cones on the mouse almost look like they're not there. Almost look like that. They're there, but they're very different. Keep in mind that mouse don't have neuromelanin. Humans have neuromelanin. We have a very thick, hardy red cone. In fact, there's something called double cones. And the double cones actually are the separation of the blue from the red and green. So the red and green tend to pair up more because a lot of times they're connected to the same wiring. They're wired, evolutionarily speaking, into the same houses. Zebrafish, fascinating, still able to see ultraviolet. But do you see how much better chickens are than zebras? How do you know it's better? Because it's closer to the source. You're listening closer to the source. Okay, you're at a dead show. You've got your tapes. I need a miracle. How long they been playing Dark Star? Oh, about 4 hours. Well, sweet. And the chicken hears it all. Chicken sees it all, man. He's got the best dead tape. He's got the best mixtape of that. The whole thing is right there. Humans have decided to bury what they hear. They want you to earn it. They want those signals outside to earn the right to pound at their door. Why? Because they're learning the transcendence, believe it or not, the psychopathy of relaxing. It's the same thing as sanctity, that these things are rising through the same thing. They're rising through the same place. This sanctity is lifting. It's giving you this ability to fucking relax. Really, wouldn't you argue that a psychopath is technically more relaxed than the normal human? I'm waiting, because you guys already freaked out about the last subject when, not you guys, but you guys, the macular you guys, not the peripheral you guys, you know what I mean? So chickens are exceptionally good at this, exceptionally well at motion detection too. This is where it's not just about having 4 cones, guys. It actually goes a lot deeper than this. And this is where reality changes. Okay. High flicker fusion frequency of a chicken is 105 hertz. Humans at 60. Humans are seeing twice the resolution as you. Now, when you're seeing twice the resolution, it's not just that you're seeing more frames per second, although you are. Something else really important happens. Because you are seeing more frames per second, you have less of a blur, less of a motion blur is informing you of more of the data. If you don't believe me, ask someone who plays video games. That on the left, you have a PWM monitor, 60 hertz. It's but most people, including me, have a monitor on their desk that just runs at 60 hertz. That a chicken would see a sort of latent bandwidth noise, a sort of train track kind of experience across the screen. It's kind of visualized for you here on the graph. But that the flicker-free version is giving you a clean, crisp picture because the pixels are being refreshed faster, twice as much. And because they're being refreshed faster, you become a sharper game player because you're seeing data that a 60 hertz screen won't. Now, guys, none of us are going to be able to play video games as well as Elon Musk, okay? So just get that the fuck out of your head, okay? But for the rest of us, none of us are as chicken centric as Musk is, okay? A lot of us have this human sort of idea. And we'd be functioning around this PWM layer. So, guys, this is where it gets tricky. Turns out that fighter pilots, through extensive training and experience, can perceive rapid visual changes better than average humans. But their visual perception still doesn't match chickens in terms of flicker fusion frequency. For comparison, humans on average have a flicker fusion rate of 60 hertz. Fighter pilots, trained humans that is, have a slightly higher flicker rate that through training, through epigenetics, through our toppest top guns have a 70 to 90% or 90 hertz frequency flicker fusion rate. This is improved by rigorous training, exercise, diet, experience, reaction speed, trauma, all those things. But chickens still beat humans at 105 hertz. That even in their calmest state, the chicken is more qualified for rapid combat. While fighter pilots have enhanced visual perception, let me say that again. While fighter pilots have enhanced visual perception compared to regular humans due to specialized training, chickens inherently possess even faster motion detection capabilities because of their biological adaptation for survival. Kelly McGillis was sent into the top elite military flight schools across the country. It was her job to make sure that every single pilot that gets behind the seat of a multi-million-dollar fighter jet is trained in every single procedure to be the fastest, the smartest, the best pilots that have ever been made. And so, here on James True, I ask you to consider what really would be the best fighter pilot. Ultimately, guys, when it comes down to cost, when it comes down to training, when it comes down to speed, when it comes down to genetic mobility, when it comes down to lives lost, when it comes down to even being able to provide your own breakfast while you are on the plane, that hands down, chickens beat man in a dogfight. Yes, a dogfight above the clouds that we would be smarter, better, faster if we were to employ chickens in this realm. Okay? Create a simple table here comparing the cost of raising a chicken versus the cost of raising and training a modern day fighter pilot. You will see that it is a substantial savings. That every year the total lifetime cost of raising a chicken is somewhere between $100 and $500. While a trained fighter pilot is somewhere between $6 and $12 million. Guys, we are losing hertz, we are losing frequency rates, we are losing a lot of top dog gunnery. We're losing a lot of desperate edges that we need right now. And these things can happen with chickens, guys. Think about it. $5 to $20 per chick. $1 million to recruit medical exams for a pilot pilot. Just to get them on the tarmac. Food nutrition, $15 to $30 annually. A pilot, thousands annually. You kidding? Those guys are, I gotta eat this now. I gotta eat that now, right? Shelter and housing, guys, chicken coop. Seriously. So cheap. $50, $200 setup. Military housing, oh my God, it's crazy. You've heard how expensive toilets are. We've talked about this. The training cost, it's literally pennies to train a chicken. They are born to do this. Meanwhile, we're spending $5 to $11 million total on a pilot, and we're still not getting the same kinds of things that we can get out of a chicken. The equipment required to raise a chicken is minimal, flight gear, all the other stuff. Guys, let me put it this way. What other creature in the world would be more suited to be placed inside of a fighter cockpit than the very bird that has lost its ability to fly? Do you understand? We would be enabling these future soars now by giving them the traumatic response that they need to work through these things. And not going to lie, there's probably a benefit that when time comes around and there's sort of like a collapse and then there's a lot more oxygen and chickens are a lot bigger, that they may even remember this. Now, some of you are like, that's impossible. Some of you are like, how do we know they haven't already remembered this, James? How do we know? And I'll just say, you tried out my book, Black Eye Club? Have you? It's available now. If you want a signed copy, if you join Patreon, there's a secret code. You got to scroll a little bit, but look for the gold now. Ask chat if you don't know it. Someone will tell you. Hey, people in chat, tell this guy. If this hypothetical person comes in and says, hey, what's the secret code? You can tell them. And then go to the shop. You can buy a signed copy of the book for the street price right now, which is on sale, $16.99. Portal Finder, thank you so much for the super chat, and that you could get caught up and read this book, and we could talk about it, and it'd be a good time. It'd be a really good time. We also have Dojo today, moderated by Lori. Looking forward to that, and we should have a lot to discuss. So, what's going to be, guys? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You're going to spend 5 to 10 years training a chicken, or 30 years on a pilot? Right? Chickens last maybe 10 years. Pilots probably 30 years tops. Why isn't Doge doing this? Right? Why aren't we moving into this realm? I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. That's right. We want to know. So isn't it interesting that nature has this sort of like built-in safety seat? This sort of like emergency cord where if someone gets bullied too much, they literally develop secret vision. Now, if you go on TikTok or anywhere else, you're going to see some really cool videos about chickens. You're welcome, because you've just been algorithmed by James True. Hope you're happy about that. But that you will see some interesting things. One of which I didn't want to play because it's actually, if you consider let me rephrase that. If you consider the higher flicker rate, actually, let's do a quick talk about flicker rate. Okay. Let's let this guy tell you. Wait. No, let's not. Let's not do that. That's going to be a weird echo. There is this lecturist to tell you about flicker rate. And he's basically showing you that incandescent bulb, when it runs off AC, is going to have a flicker. You can see that in the light bulb. But then the DC, what he's seeing right now is a solid light. But that DC is coming from 4 batteries in series. This last one is an AC converted to DC, and it's still flickering too. Why is that? It has to do with the PWM, the pulse width modulator. It's a controller. It's a circuit that's placed inside of most of our circuits. And it's showing you that if you could see the flicker rate of chickens, he's not talking about chickens, but that if you could understand the flicker rate of chickens, that you would actually be able to see this kind of pulsing that's all around us. And if you're wanting to get rid of that pulse, you're going to have to go back to like pure DC all the way. You could do that. You could build a full bridge rectifier probably and insert this thing in there, and you could probably set up something. I don't know that much about it, but you could probably set up something like that if you did just want that solid pulse. We're getting off track. The point is chickens could see this. Chickens would see that pulse. You and I wouldn't. This is just one example. Just like we were discussing with the video game thing, that the monitor itself, right, improves or gets worse or better depending on how high its frequency is, that so too are you getting and receiving more information. There's more information here. Here's another example of a 60 hertz screen and 120 hertz screen. Now this is shown at slow motion, so you could see the difference is more exaggerated. But even as you scroll, you're able to see more data, that more data is being shown to you, that it's not lost in the blur. So this is informative, guys. The chicken is willing to inform himself. He's wired his brain to be more hyperactive, to literally inform himself twice as much as you are. That he's looking up twice as often as you are to analyze the environment. And this comes from stress. It comes from fear. It comes from losing your ability to pull out your talons and just wipe someone's head off. There's so many reasons as this causes. It's even a strategy. It's a strategic way of choosing how you would live the day. And gamers do the same. If you wanted to compete in a video game, we're not talking about like Elon Musk level, okay, but like the lesser video game players in there, they would have this same issue, that on the left, they would be seeing something that literally just takes longer. that not only does it take longer, but they're seeing less of it. So the movements are less predictable. It's the same way as quantized music. It's the same way of 8-bit music versus 16. It's the same concept of AM radio versus FM. The same concept of UHF on your television versus VHF, right? So the reality becomes clearer the same way we're entering into 60 frames per second hertz and things like that. But ultimately, evolutionarily speaking, we still really haven't beaten this guy. We still haven't found a way to catch up. And I think ultimately the reason why is because we've learned to avoid fear. This is a good thing. You and I have learned to avoid fear. And because of that, we have lost the luxury of having to constantly make our eyes better. Do you understand? Like the luxury of constantly having to be worried and concerned about our eyes. About, oh my God, is there something out there? Is there something out there? So a chicken, two sides of the brain. One brain is focused directly on the worm. The other brain is completely doesn't even know the worm's there, has a conceptual knowledge, and that these two things probably don't know each other yet. That if you look at Joyce, this bicameral mind idea that I keep mentioning a lot, sorry. But this idea that each lobe began as its own entity, and that this entity had its own idea of what I should be afraid of, and that the psychopath was in the other lobe saying, what can I eat? Maybe predator is a better word. It's just interesting how both notions are living in the same vessel, but they're not aware of each other. There's no awareness. The corpus callosum, this little connector that connects your lobes, is full of wires, full of fiber optic cables. Mycelium, just a maze of mess. And that it took hundreds of thousands of millions of years, however you want to look at it, for these pathways to be built, for these pathways to find each other, that you and I were poking into the veil, into another realm that had another consciousness that wasn't a mirror, but it was a reflection. It was a reflection that was always looking at the same thing, and that shadows are teaching you the same ancient bicameral recognition. Hi, I want you to meet someone. Who? I want you to meet yourself if you were 100% gatherer. Or I want you to meet yourself as if you were 100% hunter. Predator meet prey. Prey meet predator. This is who we are. In a world that has these things, the mammalian, the marsupial, the mammalian, whatever you want to call it, decided that I do not want to live this way. I need to find a way to talk. I need both sides of these brains to reach each other. I need them to reach each other. I need them to find each other, and we will create this new entity, this twin within a twin within a twin. That the backwards genes, your genetic code you could call as your RNA, but guess what? Every RNA string that you have is going to have a complement that's folded, that it's the exact reflection of that spirit. One is predator, one is prey. One is living backwards through time. One is moving forwards through time. This is why they're reversed, I think. It's so hard to imagine how this reality fucking works, because I and my genetic shadow, it's not that we're living on the same train and we're traveling at the same speed. It's that I am starting at the beginning of time moving forward, and this fucker's starting at the end of time moving backwards. And that there is a place where we meet. And here's what's going to fucking blow your mind. That place where we meet is your fucking life. Your entire life is that one passing of two trains, the shadow of you, the hunter and the gatherer, the predator and the, what are we going to call it? The normal guy? Is that what we're going to call it? The empath? Is that what we want to say? The psychopath and the empath? That works for me. It's fine. The male and the female, the positive and negative, the aspectual notions of you, The distance between is sort of the amplitude of your life. The amplitude, right, of who you are, of how much you want to be, right? You get it. Yes, the left hand to the right, the right hand to the left. You guys read the chat. These guys know what's going on. They know what's going on. So who do you want defending your country? Who do you want? James, are you suggesting that we give like multi-million-dollar fighter jet equipment to chickens? And I'm like, I think they should be genetically modified. I'm not stupid. We're going to have to genetically modify them. That's fine. That's fine. Practice a little chicken genetics, chicken genics, chigenics. It's probably called chigenics. It's probably what it's called. Guys, you think this is the first time? You think that... You honestly think that the fact that a dinosaur that used to hunt you down now poops out your food is just an accident? You don't think that's some like sick genetic revenge dude who's like 300 million trillion light years ago was like, man, fuck dinosaurs. We're going to fucking genetically modify them, make them shrink right in front of our eyes. Then we're going to make them poop our food. Then we're going to make KFC. We're going to have like a quantum FC. Yeah, a quantum fried chicken. That's right. We're going to step in. We're going to show those guys who's the boss. And the whole time the chickens are living in the front of time, moving backwards, going, we're in charge. We will show mercy to the humans and teach them our ways. And other chickens are like, don't do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And here we are, guys. Here the fuck we are. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you can't go back in time and win any wars. All you can do is win this one. Yeah, Foghorn Leghorn versus Tom Cruise in a time machine. Portlander knows what's up. He knows what's up. Guys, we got a dojo today. Hope you enjoyed today's show. I've enjoyed bringing it to you. My name's James True. This is James True Live. I like to bring you content when I'm not writing a book. When I do write a book, I'd like for you to read it. It's Black Eyed Club. It's in stores now. You asked to see. Now you can't look away. It's a story about cloning. Pretty interesting. It's actually about a lot of things. That's just one thing. And vision. How your eyes work, how they don't work, how we got here, how we hallucinate, all that stuff. You've only heard just a little bit of parts of it here. You can get so much more out of the book. I highly recommend it. If you read the book, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Rate the book, share the book, talk about the book, suggest others talk about the book. All the things you could do if you want. Because if you don't, I'm going to tell the chickens. All right? I'm going to tell them. You're going to have to sort it out. Thank you for watching, James True. Hey, we'll see you at Dojo in 29 minutes. Hope to be there.